One breath can build a life, one breath can undo it. Right now, as you read these words, air enters and leaves your body without asking for permission. It seems ordinary, but it is the quiet force shaping every moment you experience. Modern science calls it physiology. Ancient wisdom calls it life force. Quantum physics reveals it as something even greater, a direct interface with the field of infinite possibility. Think about the days when everything aligns, the right message arrives, the right person appears, time itself bends in your favor.
Those moments are not random gifts.
They are signs that your breath, your attention, and the universe are moving as one. When your breathing is rushed and shallow, the world tightens. When it is steady and coherent, the world opens. This is not poetry. It is measurable reality. Every inhale and exhale sends signals through your nervous system and into the quantum field, collapsing invisible potentials into concrete events. Your breath is not just keeping you alive. It is voting, moment by moment, for the reality you will inhabit. If this truth resonates with you, subscribe now so you stay connected to the practices that follow, and comment the word coherence to affirm your choice to breathe with intention. These two simple actions anchor your commitment and begin the shift from unconscious survival to conscious creation. Take a single slow breath. Feel the pause between inhale and exhale. In that pause lies the same stillness from which universes are born. From this moment forward, we will explore how every conscious breath becomes a key to shaping your future, quietly, powerfully, inevitably. From the instant you entered this world, an invisible dialogue began between you and the universe, and it has never stopped. Air moves in, air moves out, but each cycle is far more than the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Every inhale is a signal to the deepest layers of your nervous system, and every exhale a reply, a rhythm that instructs your heart when to quicken, your brain when to open, your entire field of energy how to arrange itself. Ancient traditions sensed this long before modern science found the language to describe it. Yogic masters called it prana, the animating life force. Taoist sages named it qi, the subtle current flowing through all things. Mystics of every culture understood that the breath was not merely mechanical, but a direct link to the creative intelligence of reality itself. Modern physics has now caught up to that intuition. At the subatomic level, particles remain in a shimmering state of pure potential until an act of observation collapses them into a definite form. This is not metaphor or myth. It is one of the most replicated findings in science. The observer effect shows that consciousness and attention participate in the making of reality. Your breathing is the most intimate and continuous act of attention you perform. Each inhale focuses awareness. Each exhale releases it. The very rhythm of your respiration guides where your focus rests, and focus is the force that transforms possibility into experience. With every breath, you are not merely living inside the universe, you are shaping which version of the universe becomes real. Think of your own life. Remember the days when everything seemed to flow effortlessly, when conversations unfolded with perfect timing, when opportunities appeared the moment you needed them. Those were not coincidences. They were moments when your breath, your mind, and the field of possibility were in quiet agreement. Your heart was beating in smooth coherence, your lungs expanding fully, your attention present and soft. The electromagnetic field generated by your heart and brain was organized and steady, and the world around you responded to that stable signal with synchronicities that felt miraculous. Now recall the opposite. The mornings when stress seized you before you even left the bed. When your breath stayed tight and shallow. When technology failed and traffic snarled and every interaction felt like resistance. Your nervous system was broadcasting disorder, and the quantum field simply matched it. Incoherent breathing narrows perception and collapses reality into the very limitations you fear. What most people call bad luck is often the echo of a chaotic internal rhythm. This is why breathwork across cultures has always been revered as sacred technology. Every deep conscious inhale is not merely oxygenating tissue, it is stabilizing the electromagnetic field around your body and sending a clear signal to the quantum fabric of existence. I choose coherence. I choose expansion. I choose the highest possibility available now. Every careless, shallow breath sends the opposite message. I accept limitation. I expect struggle. Your breath is the steering wheel of creation. With each deliberate cycle, you vote for the kind of world that will meet you in the next moment. When you understand this, breathing is no longer a background process. It becomes your most immediate and elegant tool of transformation, the daily practice by which you reclaim authorship of your reality. To grasp the power hidden in your breath, imagine stepping into a laboratory more than a century ago, where a deceptively simple experiment shattered the boundaries of science. Physicists fired tiny electrons through a barrier with two narrow openings, expecting them to behave like the little solid particles they were thought to be. If electrons were simply miniature bullets, they would pass through one slit or the other and leave two neat lines on the screen behind. But that is not what happened. When no one observed which slit the electrons used, the particles behaved like rippling waves, spreading out and creating a beautiful interference pattern, as if each electron traveled through both slits at once. The mystery deepened when the scientist placed a measuring device to watch the electrons. The very moment observation began, the wave pattern vanished. The electrons suddenly acted like ordinary particles again, marching through one slit or the other, leaving only two narrow lines. Nothing about the machinery had changed except a single fact: someone was looking. The universe was not simply being measured. It was responding to the presence of a conscious observer. This is the heart of the observer effect. Reality exists as a sea of probabilities until awareness collapses it into a specific outcome. And here is the link to your own life. Every breath you take is a subtle act of observation. Each inhale gathers attention. Each exhale releases it. When your breath is hurried and chaotic, your focus darts and wavers, collapsing possibility into scattered, often undesirable results. But when you breathe with steadiness and intention, your awareness becomes a clean lens. The quantum field, sensitive to that clarity, organizes itself around your signal. Consider the quiet space between your inhale and your exhale. In that pause, you mirror the electron in its state of superposition, every potential future existing at once. The instant you draw the next breath with conscious presence, you select one possibility out of the infinite. This is not abstract philosophy. Your nervous system, heart rhythm, and brain waves all shift when you breathe coherently, and those physiological changes broadcast a measurable electromagnetic field. The field around you is not empty. It is alive with information, ready to align with whatever frequency you emit. You have already felt this in daily life. Think of moments when you sensed the exact right words forming before you spoke, when timing seemed almost supernatural, when coincidences cascaded so perfectly that it felt as though reality was conspiring in your favor. Those were not accidents. They were the quantum double-slit experiment expressed through your own body. Your breath steady, your attention precise, your presence collapsing infinite potentials into the one experience that served you best. This is why mastering your breath is not merely about relaxation or better health, though it brings both. It is about recognizing that you are the conscious observer in your own double-slit experiment. Each deliberate respiratory cycle is a measurement that turns possibility into fact. When you breathe with intention, you are no longer a passive witness of a pre-written story. You become the quiet scientist and the living experiment all at once, the awareness that shapes the world it beholds. Every human being carries a rhythm of breath as personal and unmistakable as a fingerprint. It is more than the rise and fall of air. It is a living broadcast that tells the universe exactly how to meet you. Each inhale and exhale generates electrical impulses through the vagus nerve, adjusts the magnetic field of the heart, and entrains brainwaves into patterns that either harmonize with the quantum field or scatter into noise. Your respiratory signature, its depth, cadence, and subtle pauses, functions like a cosmic transmitter. What you breathe is the message. The reality you experience is the reply. When you slip into shallow, rapid breathing, the tight chest and quick inhale that accompany worry, you are signaling danger. The sympathetic nervous system seizes control, flooding your blood with adrenaline and cortisol, priming you for fight or flight. Your heart rhythm becomes jagged. Your brain waves fragment, and your body begins to search for threats even when none exist. In that state, your field emits the frequency of scarcity and tension. The quantum possibilities that match fear collapse first, and life mirrors the inner static. Traffic delays multiply. Conversations spark conflict, technology falters, and opportunities slide just out of reach. What many call bad luck is often the echo of this incoherent broadcast. The opposite pattern tells a different story. When you breathe slowly and deeply from the diaphragm, roughly 5 to 6 cycles per minute, the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch devoted to healing, connection, and creativity, becomes dominant. Heart rate variability rises, a sign of resilience and adaptability. The electrical rhythms of your brain begin to synchronize with the soft cadence of the lungs, producing what researchers call cardiorespiratory coherence. Instruments can measure the electromagnetic field generated by the heart extending meters beyond the body, and in this state it becomes remarkably organized. People nearby unconsciously entrain to that field. Their breathing slows, their muscles release, their own nervous systems remember safety. This is not sentimentality, it is physics. You have already tasted both extremes. Recall a morning when stress claimed you before breakfast. The breath barely reached your ribs. Small problems erupted everywhere. The wrong email, the sudden traffic jam, the careless remark that grew into an argument. Now remember a time when you felt entirely at ease, a walk in nature, a moment of quiet joy, the stillness after good news. Your breath deepened, your chest softened, and events seemed to arrange themselves with uncanny precision. The external world did not suddenly change. Your inner signal did, and the field responded in kind. Your respiratory signature is therefore the most immediate choice you make about the quality of your existence. Every careless breath votes for contraction. Every deliberate, coherent breath votes for expansion. Training this signature is not complicated, but it asks for presence. Begin by noticing the air entering through the nose, dropping low into the belly. Let the exhale be slightly longer than the inhale, a silent invitation for the nervous system to settle. With practice, the body remembers this rhythm until it becomes your natural state, even under pressure. As you cultivate this discipline, subtle transformations unfold. Conversations that once felt tense become easier. Intuition sharpens, guiding you to opportunities that previously hid in plain sight. Synchronicities increase, those small but unmistakable alignments that remind you the universe is listening. What outsiders label coincidence is simply resonance, the world reorganizing around the steady frequency of a coherent breath. This is why breathwork has always been revered as sacred technology. It requires no belief system, no elaborate ritual, only a willingness to pay attention. Each cycle of conscious respiration is a quiet proclamation to the cosmos. I am safe, I am open, I am ready to experience the highest possibility available now. Over time, your body, mind, and the quantum field learn to trust that message, and your life begins to reflect the harmony you consistently breathe into being. Every breath you draw is a direct command to the vast electrical network that governs your entire body, the autonomic nervous system. This network, which operates below conscious thought, determines whether you live from creativity or from survival, whether you access higher intelligence or remain locked in reflex. When breathing is fast and shallow, the sympathetic branch of this system, the circuitry of fight or flight, takes control. Heart rate accelerates, blood vessels constrict, muscles tighten, and stress hormones flood the bloodstream. The mind sharpens to detect threats but loses the capacity to imagine solutions. In this state, you can plan and react, but you cannot create. The world seems narrow and hostile because your own physiology is broadcasting a message of danger. Conscious, measured breathing reverses that command and awakens the parasympathetic branch, the network of restoration, integration, and renewal. As you slow each inhale and lengthen each exhale, signals travel along the vagus nerve, a great electrical highway linking brain to heart to gut, carrying a single message to every cell. You are safe. Heart rate variability rises, a key indicator of resilience. Brain waves begin to follow the gentle rhythm of the lungs, and the body moves from urgency to openness. This is not merely relaxation. It is a full neurological shift from a survival operating system to one capable of perceiving wider possibilities. Scientists have identified a powerful rhythm, about 5 to 6 breaths per minute. At this pace, heart, lungs, and brain fall into cardiorespiratory coherence, an elegant state in which each system supports the others like instruments in a perfectly tuned orchestra. The heart's electrical field, measurable meters beyond the body, becomes stable and highly organized. The mind's chatter quiets, intuition sharpens, and the sense of time itself can soften. In this coherence, perception expands. You notice subtle signals and opportunities that previously hid in plain sight. You have felt glimpses of this state even if you never named it. Perhaps it came during deep meditation, a silent walk at dawn, the stillness after an honest conversation, or the awe of standing before a vast night sky. Without effort, your breath slowed, your chest softened, and your awareness widened. The world seemed to answer with clarity, insights appearing fully formed, coincidences cascading in perfect timing. What felt like grace was physiology and consciousness moving as one. Cultivating this rhythm is less about technique than about devotion. Begin with 5 seconds in, a soft pause, 5 seconds out. Allow the exhale to be slightly longer than the inhale to deepen parasympathetic response. With practice, the body remembers. Soon, the pattern becomes your natural resting state, available even in conflict or crisis. When a challenge arises, your breath stays steady, your mind remains spacious, and you act from choice instead of compulsion. This mastery transforms more than mood. Coherent breathing reorganizes the electromagnetic field around you, the subtle yet measurable signal your heart and brain emit. Others sense it unconsciously. Their breathing slows. Their own nervous systems begin to entrain to your calm. Conversations soften, negotiations become more collaborative, creative solutions emerge without struggle. What once required effort and persuasion begins to unfold through presence alone. From this state of coherence, action becomes art. You no longer chase outcomes or force solutions. You move when inner clarity says move, and you wait when silence says wait. Life responds to the quality of your presence, not the quantity of your effort. Each deliberate breath is a vote for harmony. Each minute in coherence, an invitation for the universe to reveal its most generous possibilities. Over weeks and months, this steady practice rewires neural networks, strengthens the vagus nerve, balances hormones, and builds a resilient physiology that can hold greater vision and deeper peace. Mastering this rhythm is revolutionary precisely because it is so simple. No external device is required, no rare teacher or sacred place. Your own lungs are the instrument, your attention the tuning key. By breathing with intention, you shift from the reflexes of reactivity to the sovereignty of coherence. The boundary between inner calm and outer reality dissolves, and you begin to see that they were never separate. Each breath becomes both a prayer and a command, shaping the world in the quiet image of your own stability. There are moments in life when a wall seems to rise inside you, a heavy memory, a deep tension, a belief so solid it feels like stone. Classical thinking says those walls must be broken down with effort or avoided altogether. Yet in the quantum world, particles do something extraordinary. They pass through barriers that should be impossible to penetrate. Physicists call this quantum tunneling, and it is more than a scientific curiosity. Your breath can do the same with the obstacles of the heart and mind. When you breathe consciously, especially at the gentle rhythm of about 5 to 6 cycles per minute, you create the perfect conditions for this tunneling effect. Each deliberate inhale draws awareness inward, like a beam of light passing through matter. Each slow exhale carries that awareness beyond the old boundary. Instead of wrestling with trauma or fighting ingrained habits, you glide through them as if the obstacle were already porous. The breath does not attack the wall. It makes the wall irrelevant. Science can measure the shift. As you maintain this rhythm, your heart rate variability rises, and your vagus nerve sends a powerful message of safety through every organ. Brainwaves settle into coherence. Emotional charge softens. The body stops bracing for impact and begins to reorganize. Old memories that once triggered panic can surface without overwhelming you. Limiting beliefs loosen their grip because your nervous system no longer treats them as threats. You may notice this during deep meditation. in a quiet walk after a storm, or in the rare stillness that follows an intense experience of forgiveness. A calm spreads through the chest, the mind becomes spacious, and a new sense of possibility opens. What felt immovable only moments before is suddenly weightless. You have not forced a breakthrough, you have breathed yourself through it. This is why ancient traditions called the breath sacred technology. It is the simplest method to move beyond fear, resentment, or grief without endless analysis or confrontation. Each cycle, inhale, pause, exhale, is a silent act of tunneling, a way to step through the thick walls of conditioning into the open field of creation. When practiced consistently, this gentle process rewires the nervous system so thoroughly that even long-standing patterns of stress begin to dissolve. Over time, you will find that challenges still appear, but they no longer trap you. You approach them with a quiet certainty that solutions already exist on the other side of the barrier. Your breath guides you there, carrying your awareness through the places where effort alone could never take you. In this way, conscious breathing becomes both your bridge and your passport, allowing you to move effortlessly through the inner landscapes that once felt impossible to cross. As your breath steadies and the nervous system moves into coherence, something subtle yet radical begins to unfold. Thoughts still surge and retreat, emotions still rise and fade, but you no longer feel owned by them. A quiet, spacious awareness emerges, an inner witness that notices every sensation, every memory, every flicker of feeling without being swept away. This is not a philosophical idea. It is a lived experience, as undeniable as the next breath you take. Modern neuroscience offers a clear window into this transformation. Under ordinary conditions, the default mode network, the cluster of brain regions that constructs the endless story of me, hums constantly in the background. It replays the past, predicts the future, and comments on everything. When you begin to breathe with conscious rhythm, this network gradually softens. Blood flow and electrical activity shift toward the experiential network, a circuitry designed for present moment awareness. The insula senses the internal state of the body. The lateral prefrontal cortex provides executive control and perspective, and the somatosensory cortex allows you to feel raw experience without immediate interpretation. You are no longer imprisoned by narrative. You are inhabiting direct reality. In this state, sensations stop demanding a story. A racing heart is simply a pulse of energy, not proof of anxiety. A sudden sadness is a passing weather front, not an identity. You watch thoughts arrive and dissolve like clouds across an endless sky, and in that watching you discover that you are not the clouds. You are the vast, luminous sky itself, unchanged whether storms rage or sunlight pours. Your consciousness remains in a kind of quantum superposition, aware of infinite possibilities, without collapsing prematurely into fear or habit. The benefits of this realization ripple through every layer of life. Relationships soften because you no longer defend a fragile self-image. Challenges lose their sharp edges because you meet them as events, not as personal threats. Decisions become clearer because you can sense which impulses rise from wisdom and which from old conditioning. Creativity flourishes because energy once bound in reactivity is now free to explore and imagine. Even time feels different. Moments stretch wide, rich with subtle detail you once rushed past. This awakened witness is not a trance or escape from life. On the contrary, it is the most intimate contact with life possible. You remain fully engaged, walking, speaking, working, but a stable awareness shines beneath every action. The ancient mystics who described enlightenment, liberation, or pure being were pointing to this everyday miracle, a consciousness vast enough to contain all experience, yet never diminished by it. You may recognize glimpses of this presence already. Perhaps it arose during deep meditation, while watching the ocean at dusk, or in the hushed awe of holding a newborn child. In those moments, the mind fell silent on its own, and you felt yourself as something wider than thought. Conscious breathing simply trains you to rest there by choice, to return at will to the open sky that you truly are. As you embody this witness consciousness more consistently, the world begins to respond. People sense the calm and find themselves relaxing in your presence. Conversations grow more honest because your steadiness invites trust. Opportunities align because your field is coherent and unshaken. You are no longer tossed about by inner storms, and reality reflects that stability with outer harmony. This is the freedom that the great teachers described. Not the absence of thoughts or emotions, but the end of identification with them. Through the steady rhythm of breath and the courage to stay present, you awaken to the fact that you are not the changing weather of your mind. You are the endless sky in which every thought, feeling, and event arises and fades. From this recognition, life ceases to be something happening to you and becomes something happening within you and through you, as you. As your breath settles into coherence and your awareness rests in the quiet vastness of the witness, an extraordinary influence begins to unfold. The calm you generate inside does not stay confined to your own body. Modern measurements show that the heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field of any organ, one that can be detected meters away from the skin. Every pulse of your coherent heartbeat sends a structured wave into the space around you, carrying precise information about your inner state. When your breathing is smooth and your mind anchored, that field becomes highly ordered, and other living systems respond. You have felt this in ways you may never have named. You walk into a room where someone is tense and instantly sense the charge before a word is spoken. Or you meet a person whose mere presence relaxes you without any effort on their part. These experiences are not coincidences or pure intuition. They are expressions of physiological synchrony. Human hearts and brains naturally entrain to one another. When a stable, coherent field is present, nearby nervous systems unconsciously begin to match its rhythm, just as tuning forks resonate in sympathy with a single clear tone. This resonance is a living example of quantum entanglement. Just as particles separated by galaxies can influence one another instantaneously, your own coherent field communicates across the invisible web of relationships and circumstances that define your life. When you are grounded in calm, people who share resonance with you feel it in their own bodies. Their breath deepens. Their stress hormones recede. They become more capable of clarity and kindness without knowing why. Your stability becomes a quiet invitation for order to emerge everywhere you go. Consider how this alters the way you act in the world. The classical mindset believes that influence comes from force, persuasion, argument, relentless effort. But when you embody coherence, magnetism replaces force. Opportunities drift toward you. Conversations unfold with surprising ease. Solutions that once required painstaking strategy appear in spontaneous alignment. You are no longer pushing against reality. You are shaping it through frequency. This is not passivity. It is a higher form of participation. Your steady breathing and quiet awareness broadcast a signal strong enough to reorganize the subtle dynamics of any space you enter. A family dinner becomes harmonious. A business meeting finds unexpected agreement. Strangers relax in your company without knowing why. You have become a living demonstration of quantum principles. Consciousness organizing matter, resonance replacing resistance, entanglement operating on the scale of human interaction. The more consistently you practice conscious breathing, the more reliable this influence becomes. Over time, the electromagnetic field generated by your heart and brain stabilizes into what researchers call a standing wave, a continuous, coherent vibration that other systems cannot help but attune to. This is why the presence of certain individuals feels unmistakably different. They do not dominate a room by speaking the loudest or moving the most. They hold a frequency so steady that the environment naturally aligns with it. You can cultivate the same capacity. Each deep, intentional breath strengthens the bridge between inner order and outer reality. Each moment of witness consciousness polishes the clarity of your field. The more you embody this state, the more life reorganizes to match it. Conversations open, conflicts dissolve, unexpected help arrives. Without manipulation, without a single word of persuasion, you become an attractor of coherence, proof that the universe responds not only to what you do, but to the quality of presence you bring to every moment. Pause for a moment and notice the breath moving through you right now. That simple act, so familiar you usually overlook it, is the very thread connecting everything you have discovered. Each inhale is the universe exploring its own limitless creativity. Each exhale is the universe releasing what no longer serves. With every cycle, you have been learning that you are not a separate observer standing outside reality. You are reality itself, conscious and alive, creating and being created in the same instant. Think back across this journey. You began by noticing the quiet power of a single breath, then traced how that breath shapes your nervous system, influences your electromagnetic field, and organizes the world around you. You have seen how ancient wisdom and modern science meet in the same recognition. What you call my breath is the most direct expression of the universe's own intelligence. The observer effect is not just a laboratory curiosity, it is the living rhythm of your everyday existence. When you breathe chaotically, you instruct the field to mirror chaos. When you breathe coherently, you broadcast harmony. Your nervous system, heart and brain are not just passengers inside a body. They are instruments through which consciousness tunes reality. Your presence becomes a message written in frequency, and the environment reads it effortlessly. A room grows calmer when you enter. Conversations soften. Solutions appear with a timing that feels like grace. And beyond these practical effects lies the deepest truth. You are not the passing weather of thoughts and emotions. You are the limitless sky in which they arise and dissolve. You are the field of awareness in which galaxies spin and hearts beat, a living expression of the same intelligence that flares in the stars and whispers through the smallest particle. The breath has always known this. It was only waiting for you to remember. This recognition does not demand perfection. Life will still bring change, challenge, and surprise. But now you meet those moments as the sky meets clouds, allowing them to form, to move, to fade, without losing your own vastness. Problems still appear, but they no longer own you. Opportunities still arrive, and you greet them without fear of loss. Action flows from clarity rather than urgency. Presence replaces struggle. Let this understanding settle deeply. Every conscious breath is both a prayer and a command. With it, you align body, mind, and field. With it, you choose the quality of the world that unfolds around you. No ritual more complex is required. The practice is to keep breathing with awareness, to keep witnessing without grasping, to keep allowing coherence to guide every step. Over time, this stops feeling like a practice and starts feeling like your natural way of being. If these words resonate in your chest like a quiet bell, anchor the insight now. Subscribe so that reminders and practices continue to reach you when daily noise threatens to pull you back into forgetfulness. And if you feel called, comment the word awakened as a simple vow to yourself and to the universe. From this moment forward, you will breathe with intention, live with awareness, and remember that you are not a visitor in the cosmos. You are the cosmos breathing itself awake through you.